Your sweet tooth will be working overtime with these two amazing desserts. And Cox Easton's is here from Kroger with sweet potato pie and butter pecan cheesecake. Good to have you with us today.
Thank you. This cheesecake, my family says, is the best cheesecake I've ever made.
Really?
So, yes.
Okay.
So it takes a little time. It's got pecan sandies crumbled up for the crust, and it's got caramelized pecans in between the batter. So you pour half the batter and then the caramelized pecans and the rest of it. And
just to talk about the crust again for a second, so the sandy cookies is what you're saying?
Sandy cookies. I crumbled them up in a food processor and put some butter with them, and then patted it into my cheesecake pan and let it bake for about 10 minutes, and then I brought it back out and started putting my filling in.
Okay.
Bakes for about 40 minutes in the oven at 325 degrees. I put it on a center rack in the center of the oven. And the finishing touch is a caramel glaze, which is about 10 to 12 caramels unwrapped and put in a bowl with about 1.5 tablespoons of half and half.
Okay.
And so that's what I have done, and I have found from doing this more than one time, if you'll let your caramel kind of set after you microwave it, it'll be a little bit easier to put on there because it's kind of thin when you first take it out.
Okay.
That's what I've done, and I'm going to let you make the marshmallow meringue for the sweet potato pie. That's different. That's different. Meringues are kind of hard. This is 4 egg whites beaten up with 1/4 teaspoon of cream of tartar and 1/2 cup of sugar, which you just add gradually. That's my meringue. Now I'm going to let you take a 7-ounce container of marshmallow cream and put this in the bowl with that, and then fold it in with that wooden spoon. That means you just kind of keep stirring it around. Right.
Okay.
And my sweet potato pie is a little bit different recipe because it has a little bit of cream cheese in it, but it's very tasty. It's got brown sugar and lots of spices in it. But I wanted to show everybody that sweet potato pie cooked about 5 minutes too long, and see how it cracked down the center?
Oh, so just a second too long can be a big difference there,
just about 5 minutes too long, and it cracked. The same thing I found out with my cheesecakes. If you are having a cheesecake that cracks, then you're cooking it probably about 5 minutes or so a little too long.
Okay, all right.
So I've just learned that from experience.
All right, so with this one, I am just folding in this marshmallow.
To try to get all that dissolved, because it's a little bit different consistency than your meringue is. And I'm going to finish drizzling my caramel on top of here. But I took this to Thanksgiving dinner, and there was maybe 1 piece left out of the whole group. So that was a pretty good indication that people like this. It's something definitely different. And,
and then tell me a little bit more about the sweet potato pie. You said you put...
I put some brown sugar and about 3/4 cup of brown sugar, and I put some cream cheese, 1/4 cup cream cheese, which I softened in the microwave, and I stirred that in a saucepan, and I gradually added a cup of milk and let all that melt together, and then I added it to 2 cups of mashed sweet potatoes and some cinnamon, nutmeg, and ginger, a little bit of salt. And then I beat all that together and poured it in my crust and baked it at 350. Well, I started out at 425 to let the crust firm up so that it's not a soggy crust. Then I cut it back to 350 and cooked it for another 30 minutes.
Okay. So. Now let me ask you this, as we get ready for the meringue part, any tips in putting the meringue then on top of this?
The reason I like this recipe is because I always have trouble with meringues, and this is such a large meringue. Ours actually shrunk in the refrigerator overnight, but I just kind of like to put it on here, seal it to the edge of the pie, and do this when your pie is still warm coming out of the oven. So you want to seal it over here to the edge.
All right, and so that's what it looks like there, and there is the final product on the other side. Whenever it's all said and done, and both of these look good, you'll find both of the recipes online in the Talk of the Town section at newschannel5.com. As always, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Merry Christmas.